and welcome back. Miss Kelsey here with this week's movement lesson. Today we're talking about goods and services, supply chain, exchange, trade, lots of things, but we're looking at it with movement to maybe clear this up a little bit. So let's get started with our warm-up. If you're sitting at your desk, you will stand quietly behind your chair. If you're sitting on the floor, you will stand in an open space. Everyone, please stand quietly where you are. And now for the warm-up. I say, hello, class, and you say, hello, Miss Kelsey. Hello, class. Hello, class. Hello, class. Hello, class. Hello, class. Hello, class. Great job. We're going to continue that warm-up with our shape making as we do 3 different shapes at 3 different levels. Again, that's high, middle, low. Here we go. Everyone make a high shape, middle shape, and a low shape. Stand tall. Great job. Last week we talked about gestures. Gestures. These are little movements we do to show something else, kind of like this. What does this mean? Hello, that's right, it means hello, but do I have to say hello when I wave? No, you just do this gesture. Could also mean goodbye. What about when I shrug my shoulders? What does that mean? I don't know. I don't know. You try. Good. So let's look at some gestures. How about a gesture for a car? Cars can go really fast. Let's try this one. You try. Now I can do a small gesture or a big one. Let's try to make it really big and really small. Very good. Let's make a gesture for the word flag. Maybe like this. Good. Or a really big flag, like this. That's a very big gesture. What about a tiny flag? Like this. Medium flag. Great. How about a light? That's our light gesture. A big light, a very small light, medium-sized light. Great, let's do one more gesture. How about a window? That's a regular-sized window. Giant window. Tiny window. So last time we talked about how people have jobs and some of the things they do for jobs, but we didn't talk about how they earn money, right? So I do this work and I get this money. I have this money to get that. Do this, get that. So maybe I'm working outside, like planting flowers. This is my job. I might dig. I might plant some seeds. make more money. And then I use that money for needs, like water, like wants, ice cream, or maybe shelter. If you could have any job to earn money, what would you do? My job is being a teacher. I'm here teaching you. This is my job, and I earn money doing this job. What's something that you could do to earn money? Maybe you are creating something. Maybe you are making art, drawing or painting, and then maybe someone wants to buy that art from you. You made some money. Maybe you are mowing grass for a neighbor, and then that neighbor gives you money to do that job. Maybe you are raking leaves, and someone might pay you to rake those leaves, and then you have money. What do I do with that money? I could spend it on ice cream, on a tent, or I could save it. Save it. Well, that means maybe not spending it right now, but tucking it away for later. And then I could save lots of money and maybe buy something bigger. Let's talk about where we get those things we're buying. Like food. Well, we talked about farms and how things grow on the farm, but there are lots of places that food can come from. And we call this tracing where it comes from the supply chain. Supply chain, follow me here, is how we follow food from maybe the farm to your table, or a garden to a restaurant. Where did it come from? Let's talk about it. One place that food can come from, and the most exciting to me, is your backyard. Your backyard. You can grow food. What? Yes, you could have your very own food garden in your backyard. You could grow things like herbs, like maybe basil or thyme or cilantro, all kinds of things. Maybe you have chickens for your eggs. Maybe you have a vegetable garden. You could grow things like tomatoes and peppers, potatoes, all kinds of things. In this case, the supply chain is very short. It's not very far from your backyard to your table, right? So just over here, we have our backyard garden. We have some vines. And then just over there is your table for dinner. So we cook the food, and then you eat it. Supply chain, pretty short. Backyard to table. You try. Backyard to table. Again, that supply chain, pretty short. But sometimes the supply chain is a little longer. That maybe looks like a farmer's market. What's a farmer's market? Well, that's where local farmers and food vendors set up a booth, maybe under a tent. And there's lots of them. And you come and shop for food. They grew it maybe on their farm or their backyard, and they're bringing it to you for you to take to your table. The supply chain is still getting longer. So let's start over here at the farmer's market with tents and shopping. And then to your home over here where we cook the food and we eat it. So the farmer's market's a little further than your backyard, but still close. Let's check again. Farmer's market and shopping. To your home and your dinner table. Well, sometimes the supply chain gets a little bit longer. Maybe not a farmer's market, but a farm where a farmer grows lots of crops. Not just a little bit at the farmer's market, but a lot of crops. Maybe just one crop. Maybe they grow lots of corn or tons of potatoes. And the farm is probably not very close to you. So let's take it to the farm where we have rows and rows and rows of crops. Lots of rows of crops. And then they have to move those crops. Maybe they have a tractor. And somehow those crops get to you, but you're probably not very close. Way over there, I'm going to march. And this is where my table is. So the farm over there is pretty far from my table, right? Further than the farmer's market and way further than your backyard. Let's head back to the farm. Where we have crops, rows and rows of crops. A tractor. And then way over here, your dinner table, where we prepare the food and eat it. And then the supply chain gets really long when we head to the grocery store. All of that food and all of those products come from all over the world. Some very far away. So let's head to the grocery store way over here, very far away, where we shop with our shopping basket. And then all the way over here, a little is your table. Grocery store table. Grocery store table. Supply chain's pretty long. So let's rewind back to the beginning where the supply chain was pretty short. So short, it's in your backyard. Very close. And let's take a closer look at what that might look like if you are gardening in your backyard. Well, first, we have to create the gardens. This means lots of digging and lots of planning. So maybe we have a box. I'm going to walk in a rectangle. this is where my tomatoes go. Inside this rectangle garden box. I plant the tomatoes. Very nice. And then the tomatoes have to grow. Remember that vine move we had? Tomatoes grow on vines. So sometimes they put cages so they can grow up these cages on vines. Here we are, our tomato vines. Let's start really low. Very good. Let's review. First we make the rectangle garden box. Make sure it has 4 sides. 2 are longer than the others. Plant those tomatoes. And then they grow in vines up the cages. We gather them. Maybe you're picking tomatoes. I like to collect mine in a wheelbarrow. So I'm going to move this wheelbarrow closer to the house, where finally we get to prepare them to be served on the table. Let's take it back. Our rectangle garden box. Plant the tomatoes. Then they grow. You pick them, put them in your wheelbarrow, and you bring them closer to your table, where we prep them, and finally, we eat. Next stop, where the chain gets longer, the farmer's market. Remember, this is where we have lots of different booths set up, and they all sell different things. One booth might have vegetables like butternut squash, or cucumbers, or potatoes. Somebody might be selling maybe fruit, like oranges, strawberries. My favorite booth at the farmer's market has honey. Some people make their own honey with their very own beehives. So, they're setting up their booths, one next to the other. And you, as the consumer, are shopping. What are we making today? Maybe a soup or a salad. So if I want to make a soup, I might be shopping for tomatoes. I might be shopping for some greens like kale or spinach. I might be shopping for corn. I might be shopping for corn. So depending on what you're making, you're shopping for different things at the farmer's market. Then I head home with my ingredients. And now I prep to make whatever I'm making. For the soup, we are cutting vegetables and stirring before we eat. Let's review. The farmer's market has lots of booths with different items. You, the consumer, are shopping for ingredients to make whatever you like. Then I take all of these So let's talk about the farm. Remember, they had animals there that the farmer takes care of. Some food or eggs might come from them, but they also grow crops. So they have a lot of land. It's a big open space. Probably not a grocery store, which is why the farmer is growing this food. So let's say he has a big open space with lots of rows. Make a big gesture and then some rows. This shows his farm because it's way far away, not in a neighborhood, but in a rural area. Big farm with some rows. And do you think the farmer plants those plants one at a time, like this? No, that would take forever. He has things like tractors to make that go way faster. And the tractors move across the big open land like this. And they're dropping seeds and planting crops. Let's review. A farm, big open space with rows. And the farmer plants these crops with a tractor, dropping seeds just like this. Well, next he has to collect those crops. He has to get them all together to transport them. Do you think he uses a wheelbarrow? No, that's probably a little too small. He uses another tractor. So these tractors pick up the plants. Sometimes they have arms like this that grab all of these crops and sort them. You try. Very good. And then the farmer then has these crops transported to the grocery store or a restaurant, maybe even the farmer's market. So he loads up his really big truck. It's usually a large rectangle. And he's on his way. Let's take that back. Our farm, the big open space with rows. The tractor that plants the seeds. Another tractor that collects them. And then the farmer who transports them in a very big truck, where eventually they get to you. And the last stop on that supply chain, where it is the longest, is the grocery store. The grocery store, where that farmer was headed in his very large truck. So let's say he's on his way to the grocery store. And when he gets there with all of that food, the people who work at the grocery store have to unload it. Do you think they carry it one potato at a time? No, that would take way too long. They have big things like forklifts. It's a big machine that comes in and picks it up, and then it moves it maybe inside the grocery store. So we had the big truck transporting the food. It gets to the grocery store, and the forklift moves it inside. And once it gets there, the grocery store clerks have to stock the shelves. So that means they're going to place the vegetables maybe where it gets misted, or maybe they're putting some noodles on the shelf and cans and pasta. Go ahead and stock your grocery store shelves. And then shoppers, consumers, you go to the grocery store with your grocery basket. And we're shopping. What do you like to buy at the grocery store? Sounds delicious. Let's take it back. The truck. From the farm to the grocery store, where it's unloaded by the forklift, stocked by the clerks, shopped by you, the consumer, and finally, we check out. We have to pay for this food. So, with Wiggles? No, they don't take Wiggles for money at the grocery store. You have to use money like dollars or cards, and that pays for your groceries. So we are checking out. Doop, doop, doop. And then they bag it, and you take it home to your table. Today we talked about the supply chain, how things get from the farmer's market, your backyard, the grocery store, to your table, and how we get all of these things to eat, and we pay for them with money, not Wiggles. Let's go ahead and do our cool down. 3 deep breaths in through your nose and out your mouth with these arms. 2 more times. 1 more. Cross your arms. Show your teacher you are ready to listen.